fight fans? This is the TST Alyas here, back again with another banger. And today we have a very special guest because she is fighting for the WBC Strawweight title on December 19th in Miami, Florida. She is La Reina. Please welcome Miss Yadira Bustillos. Yadira, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm great. Very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be on your cast.
Hey, thank you for just taking the time out to talk to me today.
Thank you.
I just want to get straight to business because, December 19th, biggest fight of your career up to date, fighting Yokasta Valle for the WBC strawweight title. Talk to me about this matchup.
I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time, and I'm very excited for this opportunity for me. And not only that, I'm very thankful for Jake Paul for making this event happen. And I know due to what happened, he still made this fight happen. So I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I can't wait until others finally know who I am.
For sure. And this is, a very, arguably MVP's biggest card of the year. You are, in the main card. How does it feel to have your first world title fight in front of, a big crowd? It's going to be broadcast on Netflix, Kaseya Center. How do you feel about that?
Just very excited. Like I said, I've been dreaming of this. I'm ready for this. It doesn't matter who's there. I just really hope that I show them my talent.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned Jake Paul, crediting him for, putting this event together, especially with, the previous date being scrapped. How does it feel to be on a promotion like MVP that's very empowering to women's boxing?
It's I'm very thankful and just very excited for this opportunity. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be on this the on Jake Paul's free card, and then I'm just very thankful.
For sure. And, I believe this is the first time you're fighting in Miami in your pro career. Are you excited, for being out east and, fighting in the Kaseya Center?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how Miami is like. I've never been there, so I would love to see how it is down there.
For sure. And with it being such a big stadium, a lot of attention on it. Do you feel like there is a bit of pressure, with such the magnitude of the event? Or you kind of just when you step in the ring, do you feel like you're just focused on the fight?
When I step in the ring, I'm just focused on my fight, not really on like what's going on outside. I'm just focusing on myself and just do what I do, like I don't let anything else get to me.
For sure. And I do want to talk about your opponent, Yokasta Valle, strawweight champion, former unified champion as well. Aside from this being a world title fight, what excites you most about this matchup?
This is gonna be my first time fighting for the WBC, so it's very this is what I've been dreaming for, so I'm just very thankful for this.
For sure. And this is, your second 10-round fight, first one since 2023. What's been the biggest focus in this training camp?
My biggest focus is my cardio and different kind of techniques that I can be using, and just my cardio, and yeah.
For sure. And you did mention it earlier, this fight was supposed to happen, I believe, November 13th. Obviously, that card got canceled due to, some situation with, Jake Paul's previous opponent. What was your initial reaction to, that fight cancellation?
I was frustrated. I got a lot of family members that were ready to go and watch me and just give me the support, but since it got canceled, unfortunately, some of them didn't get like their money back, and not due to tickets, but they their hotels and like their flights and everything. Like, unfortunately, like I can't give them their money back, but for this time it's just a little sad that they won't be able to come and watch me because they don't have enough money for it now, because since they already spent it. But I'm just upset because of that and frustrated, but I'm just happy that the fight's still gonna happen. and I still have this opportunity.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate about the family thing, but on the bright side, there is, at least, they'll be able to watch you, on December 19th for your first world title fight on Netflix. I do want to talk about, kind of the training camp prep of it because you were about 2 weeks out from the original date. What did you have to kind of tailor and kind of adjust, to kind of to make your training camp prep, match up with the current date?
Well, since they told me that that fight wasn't gonna happen, I still continued in training. So I slowed down a little bit and then picked it back up because I don't want to overwork myself either. But I'm just very thankful that this opportunity is still happening, and I'm ready for this opportunity.
For sure. And your only pro loss is to Sarah Borman over back in Germany. What was the biggest lesson you learned from that fight?
Um, I feel like I won that fight. I've been wanting a rematch with Sarah Borman, but unfortunately, she hasn't been wanting to fight. I get a lot of warnings for low body shots, but it was because her trunks were too high up. Um, you can even barely see her stomach. It was her trunks were too high up, and I was getting blamed for body shots when it wasn't even that low. They were just covering her stomach up way too high, and I don't know why the ref should have recognized that, but unfortunately, that's what happened. And my biggest lesson is, so I couldn't. I should have just threw body shots. I should have just continued and listened to my coach, but they were like, "No, we're gonna take points off you." But next time, like I learned my lesson. But unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, and being in enemy territory, that was, the first time I believe you were in Germany. How was it fighting, overseas?
It was amazing. That was my first time over there in Germany, and I just loved it. Like here in Vegas, there's not as many trees as there is over there, and it was just beautiful over there. I just loved it over there, but it was just kind of tough also since I didn't really speak German, so it was kind of hard for me to find like places like to eat and like anywhere. So it was tough, but it was like a fun experience to do.
For sure. And, being from Vegas, it's arguably the fight capital of the world. There's a lot of resources in Vegas. How do you feel like, being based in a predominantly fight city, has helped you grow as a boxer?
Here I get a lot more opportunities to spar with girls that have a lot of talent, like, and I'm very thankful for anybody that I ran into that sparred with me and helped me for this training camp. Um Being here in Vegas, it's all about partying and stuff, but I'm staying focused and being thankful for the opportunities that I have here.
For sure. And, I do want to talk about your coach, Gil Martinez, because you've talked about how important has he been to not only your, boxing career, but your life. How important has it been to, the development of you as a boxer and a person?
He's changed my life so much. Since I started, my life wasn't that great. But he showed me no matter through the hard times, like you still gotta be happy. And the more positive you are, positive things are gonna attract you. So I was positive every day. I would tell myself that one day I'm gonna have this opportunity and I will be a world champion. And the opportunity is here. So I'm very thankful that I had this opportunity. Not only that, like he's just changed the way that I was, because before I was a little more like shy, not really talking to others, but now it's completely different. I'm over here helping others out, seeing others being inspired by me is very amazing. Like I just love it.
For sure. And you're fighting in an era or a period in women's boxing where it's booming. The popularity, the growth, the respect that women's boxing is getting is, all is growing year by year. How do you feel about, fighting in this period, and how do you feel, how important is it to be, an inspiration to younger, women that want to get into the sport?
I just want the girls to continue to keep it going, like make girls boxing grow even more, you know? I want us to be treated the same as male fighters do. And I want all of us, I get we're fighting each other, but we need to um support each other to make women's growth even bigger.
For sure. And boxing, is kind of like a family sport for you. Your pops and your brother were involved, but you're the only pro that, the only person that went pro in the family. What have they thought so far of your career up to this point?
It's a big difference than when I started. When I started, they didn't really support me too much. They didn't want to see their little girl get hurt. But now that they've seen that I'm going to continue to do what I love, they started supporting me even more. And now my mom doesn't even let me clean at home or anything. She always tells me that, nope, I need to stay 100% in boxing and just focused on what I have to do in my training camp, and don't worry about anything else. So I'm very thankful for my family, my mom and my dad for supporting me.
Absolutely. And initially when they were kind of against you boxing, what kind of a mental toll did it take, trying to balance, the family's, opinion with while also training consistently?
It was tough. Sometimes it would tell me that they wouldn't really want me to go in and fight, but um I continue to just push myself and let that motivate me to show my parents that I can do this too, you know? Like I want them to see my talent.
Yeah, and you've talked about before that you love boxing, you easily breathe boxing, you want to be a world champion. There is some other hobbies that you like to do. One of them is, building Legos. I just a curious question, what's the best Lego set that you've built so far?
I mainly build Star Wars Legos. So I'm very like a Star Wars fan. I just love building any kind of Star Wars Legos. And I would like to get more, but I just haven't had the time to sit down and build some. But yeah, maybe after Christmas, hopefully I can sit down and build a Lego.
I also heard that, you have a dog as well.
Yes, I have a little Frenchie. Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. I love
Yeah.
dogs. I have two big dogs. I have a lab and I have a husky mix. So dogs are
Mm. Yeah,
very, very.
I'm a love dogs. Like if I'm around your dogs, I would be giving them my full attention.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
but like I just love dogs. Anywhere I see a dog out in the street walking or anything, like I always stop and just like look at them, look
That's
at him, and just I just love dogs. I love any kind of pets.
For sure. And it's interesting because sometimes when we're in our careers and stuff like that, sometimes we get so consumed that you know it feels like we don't take a step back and enjoy, like, the finer things in life. How have you been able to balance, a work life balance, balancing training, balancing family, balancing your hobbies?
It's tough. It's like, for example, Halloween, I didn't get to celebrate with my family. Thanksgiving, I'm not gonna be able to celebrate with my family. I don't really see my family as much because I'm always just training and it's tough. But I love that my family always calls me and tells me that they support me and they sit down and like listen to me. And I'm just very thankful for that. And I just hope that I'll be able to spend Christmas with them.
Absolutely. And boxing is they always say boxing is like the loneliest sport in the world. You're constantly training, like you said, you're sacrificing a lot of days, a lot of events, and for a lot of people boxing is an avenue to get out of, a tough situation. And for others, it's just, to test themselves at the highest level. Aside from being a world champion, what's your biggest why for continuing to box?
I would just love to be the best ever. Like, have other girls just be inspired by me and me pushing them. And that's my biggest what I would love to do, you know? Like show them that us women can do this too. It's not only a male sport. Like that's my biggest goal in what I'm doing.
Absolutely. And Yadira, my last question for you is, what can fans expect when you step in the ring December 19th against Yokasta Valle?
It's gonna be a war, but I'm very excited for this opportunity. I've been waiting, dreaming of this opportunity, and I'm Mexican, and I want to show them what my talent is, and for them to remember my name.
Yadira, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck on December 19th.
Thank you so much.